I'm Josh with Waupaca Community Media, and we're joined with Aaron Jensen from the Save Waupaca and Ron Sari from the Waupaca School District for our weekly community update. Hello, guys.
Hey, Josh.
And once again, our overlying theme is COVID and looking at reopening and what the next steps in the process is. And the first thing we'll touch on is the city at the city council meeting this past week. Phase 3 of reopening was approved, and it sounds like maybe that's a little more of a long-term phase that the city stays in for a while. But Aaron, what is phase 3 all about?
Yeah, so to this point, Josh, and you mentioned that it is going to be a little more of a long-term phase. We've kind of jumped from council meeting to council meeting through the end of May and through June, and those have been the trigger points to go to some new phases. And now that we're in phase 3, we have this one set from today is when it started to August 4th. So that'll be a couple council meetings, and then we'll review and see where we're at that point. I give staff a ton of credit for the work that they've done, because the two key places we're looking at here in phase 3 are the library and the rec center, as far as what maybe looks a little different. And the reason is because the things that they offer in those departments those are the biggest challenges in providing those services with what we're dealing with in this pandemic. So Peg and her staff have done an excellent job at the library. They're going to be opening up. They're back to normal pre-COVID hours. They're still offering curbside and computer use. The big thing with this phase, Josh, is that they're now allowing patron browsing. Everyone is required to wear a mask when you go in the library. The patron browsing, they're limiting it to up to 30 total participants. And they've got systems in place. I was just actually behind a resident as they went in to use the services, and I got to watch their staff kind of do what they do to make sure their staff is safe and that the residents are, and they're doing an excellent job over there. And then the same with our Park and Rec department. Andrew and his staff have been working really hard to provide programs, and this is their time of year, and we've talked about it a million times. This is kind of like the summer is their Super Bowl for the Park and Rec department, and they love providing programs, and they want nothing more than to do that. And it's been a frustrating time that has proved to really test everyone's patience, and they have put out some programs that are falling in line with the UW Health and the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, all of those recommendations, and they're running those programs with that. I suggest that everyone goes on to the ActiveNet website and check them out and register if you're comfortable in doing so. And
we've had Sandra on Facebook and on the radio station. They've got some new and innovative programs they're trying this summer, everything from an art day in the park to disc golf. So they've introduced some new programs too, which is maybe one of the good results out of what's going on.
Absolutely. That's a good point. It's a silver lining, right? We're kind of pushed to do programs that are different than the traditional ones we've done, and hopefully they stick for a long time. Maybe these will be 6 or 7 new programs that are here 10 years from now, which would be pretty cool. And then same thing at the rec center. They're still having some capacity limits inside the rec center in the gyms. Right now, luckily, with so many people being outside in the summer, those capacity limits aren't as big of a concern, and they're not like turning people away at this time. So we felt like keeping those in place would be good. And then the senior center is opening up a little more. They're starting to get into some programs, things like that. Masks are required with that being a vulnerable population. But some of the exercise classes obviously take the masks off at that time, as that's also a danger. So senior staff is working hard, and I think ramping up. And Josh, we talked about this in the council meeting last night. We truly wanted phase 3 to be normal, right? We did not have much detail in phase 3, except for 2 weeks ago, we kind of got together as department heads and said, we got to put some detail to this because we won't be able to go to normal. And I just credit the flexibility of everybody and our staff and our residents to be able to move with us throughout this whole time. So.
And, the city's been doing the reopening, and the school's still in the planning process. And I know you don't have final answers yet, Ron, but I know you've been having multiple meeting with different stakeholders. And I think one of the promising things is it sounds like countywide the school districts are working pretty well together to be consistent. So it's not totally different in Waupaca than it is in Waupaca than it is in Iola, Scandinavia. And you've got kind of why I've gone down to kind of three different phases. If this situation occurs, this is how we'll operate. If this happens, this is how we'll operate. And I know one of the goals is to keep the students and staff in the building as much as possible while providing a virtual option for those who may be vulnerable or uncomfortable sending their kids to school. So what's the latest on the process that you're working through?
Yeah, these last 2 months have been very busy. We've got well over 140 hours of meeting and planning. Sometimes it feels like we're spinning our wheels, but other times we feel like we're making great progress. The meetings up until tomorrow with the other stakeholders besides the administrative team would be the other superintendents in our county, along with our county health officials. So that's been just a great opportunity to have those conversations and try to be as consistent as we can be. Our goal, and I think all of the district's goal, and I know our district, we want to bring all kids back and we want them to be in the building in person as much as possible. There's so many reasons why that's important. At the same time, we know that we're planning for the virtual option that some students and parents may want for their children. So that will be something that is going to continue to happen. So initially, when I presented a couple weeks ago, I think to the board a couple Fridays ago, a PowerPoint of what it looks like, and it was really a 30,000-foot view of the planning, not really getting into the specifics and the weeds of everything. We had 5 phases. And since that time, knowing that the other districts and our county health official approved having 3 phases, we're kind of in the process of thinking about pivoting to be consistent with what the rest of the county is doing, because it just makes more sense than having 7 districts doing 7 different things, you know. But I guess the biggest challenge right now that we're having a hard time wrapping our mind around, and it's kind of a conundrum, all of the responsibility to make these decisions lies in each individual district and each individual county, you know, and we're considered high in the low, medium, or high risk. We're in that highest phase right now. And we go around our community, we see all the businesses are open and everything's moving, and our co-curriculars are starting up. And so it's hard to say when you're in the high phase and everything out there is happening the way it is, to say that we can't bring all PK through 12th grade students back in person. So that's what we're really struggling with. But at the same time, you know, we respect everybody's choices. People have choices in how they want to proceed, whether they're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, whether they go to a business to eat, a restaurant to eat, or stay home. Co-curriculars also is a choice. It's not mandated. Co-curriculars are privileged activities. They're a choice that students make. But attending school is mandated. It's a law. There's a compulsory attendance law. So, you know, we respect people's individual rights and beliefs, and at the same time, asking those who disagree with whatever final decisions the district will make, that they would have respect in knowing that we're trying to make the best decision that we possibly can, you know, the most reasonable decision for our students, staff, parents, community, because every community is a little different. So I guess that respecting everybody's choice and what they want to do is real important to us as a district.
Well, you guys got a tough job ahead of you to get this all fleshed out. I know at least one of the common themes I keep seeing on the news from different school districts, and same with you, is everyone's going to have some sort of virtual option. So I think that's to some comfort to those families that are concerned about this or unsure about sending their kids to school. And I know some people that are like that. I don't, you know, and relate to some people that I'm not sure if I want to send my kids to school in the fall or not. So it's good that there's flexibility there. And I think as fast as everyone rushed into it with virtual learning this spring, I'm hoping that the districts are a lot more prepared this fall, now that you've kind of had that practice run over the spring that was pretty quick to get in place.
Yeah, we've learned a lot from that experience, those several months where we were doing it virtually, just kind of throwing it together as we were learning. And now we've invested in a new learning management system called Schoology, which a lot of the tech colleges around the state use. And it's going to really improve not only through communication and expectations, but the lesson delivery. There's going to be a high level of consistency between what the kids in person are learning and what the kids virtually are learning. In person is going to be using Schoology, so will the virtual students be using Schoology. So they're getting the same information, and it's a one-stop shop. So instead of having parents and students frustrated with getting communications from IC, Infinite Campus, and emails, and all the communication can take place right there. The lessons will be there, the videos, the resources, everything will be right there. And we're pretty confident on the higher level of expectations that will help. And then also the planning that we're doing to keep those students engaged and accountable. There were some times last year with some students where we lost them. And that is not going to be able to happen as we move forward. There's going to be a lot more accountability in that virtual option.
I've got to ask, with all this, everything that's happened with schools in the past couple months, are snow days going to be a thing of the past?
My prediction is they will be, because we keep getting better at this virtual piece, and I think snow days are going to become virtual days. That's my prediction, Josh.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things that hit my head with everything going on, is that I think maybe to some parents that might be a positive, maybe to the students not so much a positive, but that might be one of those good things that come out of what's going on right now, depending on how you look at that. Something else interesting that's been going on, and I don't know if the whole COVID situation is driving it somehow, but I know in past weeks we've discussed maybe increased interest in development and housing development and other things going on locally. And another facet of that, with that increased interest, is how do you market the area? How do you market the Waupaca area as a destination? You've got housing developments that want to come here and build, and then you need people to fill those. And some of what I've seen on the news, and I know you guys have seen the same thing, is with COVID, maybe how more rapidly it spreads in populated areas, it might be more of an interest in the future for people to maybe live in the more rural areas or spread out from the bigger cities. And I know the school and the city are jointly working on a marketing project. Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, it's a real exciting adventure, working with Aaron and also Terry from the Chamber of Commerce and the stakeholders that we've pulled together. We've called it the Waupaca Growth Team, and we know that it's a win-win-win. It's a win for our businesses, it's a win for the city, it's a win for the school district if we're able to attract people to want to live and work here in our community. So we talked about that extensively last year in the beginning of the year, and it's starting to come, some of the things are coming to fruition. I mean, Aaron was talking one of the last times that we got together here in an interview format about the selling of like 30 lots within the city, and different developers are building workforce housing on those lots. So that part's exciting. And the fact that the more students that we get, it increases the funding for the school district substantially. So this venture with this marketing has moved to a point where now our local Noah Lemke is going to be producing between 45 and 50 videos that touch on the quality of life here in Waupaca with the city, the chain, the school district, and those will be utilized in social media messages that are targeted to individuals that may have an interest in moving and working here in the Waupaca area.
Yeah, Ron explained it very well. We all benefit if we have increased population or population growth, and we do see this COVID as another silver lining in it, is that people might look at areas like ours that are a little less dense in population, and they might say, hey, I want to live in a place like that. How many seasonal people do we have that live in the area that now maybe their jobs are telling them, maybe you don't have to come back to work. Maybe you can work remotely. How many of those people are going to move up to their seasonal home permanently? I don't know the answer to that, but those are just questions and things that we think about. And this marketing strategy really is to market for new residents, for people who might want to start a business in Waupaca. We just want to highlight, we think we have so many great things in Waupaca, and we want to highlight all of those things and show everyone why, if you have the things that we have as strengths, as interests, we want to show you that. And we're going to plug these videos into a marketing strategy and actually put some investment into it, and do some target marketing through social media, and the school and the chamber have been good partners in that. And we're just excited to be working on it together because we all benefit from it. And yeah, we'll keep pushing it forward, and we're glad that Mr. Lenke, Noah, who's probably, what is he, 18, and I know he's more mature than I am already. So we're excited to be working with him, and yeah, I think it'll be a good project.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys making time again for our weekly update, and it's always good to hear something non-COVID that's positive for the area. So it's nice closing out today's segment, learning about a little bit with this marketing project that's coming up.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on, Josh.
Thank you.
Have a good one.